Well, the big story though right now, as you can see flashing on your screen, is the Supreme Court verdict. Mining royalty judgment will be given with retrospective effects subject to some conditions. Neeraj, have you read that document that's just come out? This is not sounding good for those mining companies.
Yeah.
It's a shot in the arm.
Well, no, actually quite different from the shot in the arm, simply because this will actually quite kill them. So in some sense it's going to be a problem for some of these metal companies for sure, but we should try and get some of the experts here. Now just let's pull up the stocks one by one. We know one of the verdicts had come against one metal company, but let's pull up all the ferrous and non-ferrous stocks individually if we can first. So Vedanta is down about 1.8%, should pull up Hindalco, should pull up Nalco, should pull up Tata Steel. Effectively, everybody involved in the mining of some of the other pieces now might be subject to a retrospective taxation impact as well, and levy on penalty and interest, levy of interest and penalty on demands can also happen retrospectively. Well, this doesn't seem to be good. I think we should get Rakesh Arora in moments from now, but
in fact, Neeraj, we talked to Rakesh Arora on the day that this news was doing the rounds, which was about 2 weeks ago, and he had implied at that stage as well that this was going to be a huge negative for the companies. But I don't think there was, and you'd probably agree, you want to go to Rakesh. I think Rakesh is with us. Is it Aditya Welkare of Axis Securities joins in? Aditya, good afternoon, good morning, thanks for joining in. The judgment by the Supreme Court is not looking good. Mining tax with retrospective effect, and all these companies are now under tremendous selling pressure. What are you making of this judgment? Is it on expected lines, or are you surprised?
Yeah, this is a negative surprise. Basically means most of these companies were not expecting that it will be on a retrospective basis, but on an ongoing basis. So definitely it's a negative news for the sector as a whole. And what I understand is Tata Steel has been taking these as a contingent liabilities, and they have taken an impact of 17,340 crores as a contingent liabilities if this judgment has been taken retrospectively. Apart from that, most of the other companies, they have not recorded any significant contingent liability by considering this judgment as retrospective. So we will have to see what kind of liabilities they have. As far as Hindalco is concerned, the liabilities are not substantial, is that what management said in the recent con call. But still we will have to await, because this will have a lasting negative impact, because the accumulation of the overall taxes could be quite significant amount.
Have you done any of the back of the envelope calculation of what which company would stand to pay? And one, it's retrospective. Second, also a future revenue. If you have to pay this tax, it's going to have an impact too, right? So the future sort of earnings outlook also not as great as it was, if we can call it that.
Yes, already these companies are grappling with lower price realizations because of the drop in the commodities, and the macro environment is quite volatile recently. Also, if the state started levying ongoing taxes, recently Jharkhand government has imposed some taxes, so that will be an additional burden. So overall, it's quite negative for the metal sector.
Okay, so viewers, just to lay it down before we ask the next question to Aditya, effectively tax on mineral wealth will be applied retrospectively. Companies will pay tax on mineral wealth to states, and taxes liable to be paid from 2005 to July 25th, 2024. Of course, the tax will be paid over a period of 12 years, so some bit of spreading out of this liability comes in. Remember, Tata Steel had already provided a contingent liability of 17,000 crores. Other companies also to be impacted. Now, how big of a multiple impact, Aditya, do you see that this might have? Because commodity companies usually don't get a higher multiple, but with rulings like this, does this open up the can for P multiples to be derated, or EV/EBITDA multiples to be derated for some of these companies because of the ruling?
Yes, if we look because of these higher steel prices and higher commodity prices, many of the balance sheets of these steel and metal companies, they had recovered post-COVID, and the price to book ratios have improved. But now with these rulings and subsequent impact of the lower commodity prices, the debt on the books, we have seen in this quarter also there is a uptick in net debt of most of these companies, including Tata Steel and slightly on Hindalco also. So the debt is increasing, so the price to book ratio along with these liabilities, it will deteriorate further. So we can see some derating on the valuation multiples from the street.
So, were you constructive, Aditya, on any of the metal names until now, post results or otherwise? Hindalco was up about 2% after the numbers as well. And does your, I know this is initial days, so you'll take your time to look at the reports, but prima facie, do you believe that the chances of a downside are higher now from the current levels and the current valuations that the companies trade at over the course of the next 3 to 6 months?
We are negative on steel companies because of the bleak outlook, especially coming from China, and whatever China is not going with any substantial stimulus. So as far as steel is concerned, we are all right negative on that part. We were positive on Hindalco and other non-ferrous companies like Vedanta and Nalco. But we will have to assess the impact of this tax on the balance sheet of these companies as well. So apart from that, I guess as far as non-ferrous metals are concerned, there is still some structural story there because of the use of these metals in renewables and other new sectors like electrification and power and non-renewable energy. But still, we don't see, we see multiple headwinds because of the weakness in the Chinese property sector. So we were positive on Hindalco, Vedanta and Nalco. And we will have to assess if these companies, if they declare any contingent liabilities. So far, they have not come up with any specific numbers. So we will have to wait. Also, one thing which we will have to see is whether these new rulings from the Supreme Court, they get challenged by any of these mining companies, so that they or any new petition is filed against this new ruling, whether it can be challenged and a stay can be put on that. That is also need to be seen. So it's a long drawn process ahead, I think.
Okay. Aditya, really appreciate you joining in today and giving us some sense. They were anyways not so constructive on some of the steel companies, and now there is, more reason to feel so. Remember, like we said, Tata Steel in the results had given some inkling of this, that there is a large contingent liability of 17,000 crores that they had put out back then when they announced the results, and some of the other companies too to get impacted. So let's wait and watch how this shapes up. But I'm told that our NDTV correspondent Sunil Prabhu is with us as well, and he's looked at this closely. Sunil, what can you tell us about this development?
Well, as you're well aware, a few days ago, the Supreme Court, in a 9 judgment, had unanimously 8 of them, I mean, not unanimously, 8 judges, only one judge, that was Justice Nagaratna, who argued against it and gave a dissenting judgment. 8 judges had said that royalty is a tax, and that states were well within their powers to do it, and had gone ahead and made it clear. Then, of course, there was from both sides a request for clarity whether it will be done prospectively or retrospectively. And it's in this context that the Supreme Court today, 8 judges, Justice Nagaratna has remained silent on that matter because she has already given a dissenting view. 8 judges have said that it will be done prospectively from the date of 1st April 2005, and it will be given by mining companies as well as the center to the state governments. These penalties as well as interest will not be levied on them, but these dues will have to be paid within a period of 12 years. So this is a big setback for mining companies as well as for the center in terms of its powers. State governments now, especially mineral resource states from West Bengal to Jharkhand to Odisha, and the list continues, will be able to get their long-awaited dues. This has been a long and an arduous task for them, fighting for what they believe is their due right when minerals are taken from their state. They need to be able to take and levy that royalty, and it's in that backdrop now that the Supreme Court has said prospectively from 1st April 2005, within a period of 12 years, those payments which are due, no penalties, no interest by state governments on mining companies and others, and this will have to be paid by them.
Sunil, thank you so much for joining us and taking us through the latest updates with respect to that judgment. I want to very quickly take a look at the markets before we conclude the segment. And while we have a lot of pressure in Coal India and Tata Steel and several other metal companies, all in all, we're still seeing the Nifty hold on to the relatively flattish movements that we've seen since morning, because we have seen advances for TCS, ITC and M&M as well. In fact, those are some of those key heavyweights which are actually advancing and keeping the fall in check. Besides that, of course, we continue to give you an idea about how things span. But for now, the Nifty is holding on to marginally low levels. But you never know. It is, of course, the weekly options expiry for the Nifty as well. So there could be a little bit of weakness coming through as well, but that's how things are at the moment. A lot of weakness in the metals sector, and of course, I believe that we will slip into a short break, or no, maybe not.
Just about to get the management of manganese ore, MOIL. Right. So maybe just a sense from them about what the impact of this could be. So maybe just try and deal. But it's interesting that guys that an announcement like this happens, and there is Agam, that cues can be collected retrospectively, and maybe there is merit here because so many judges voted in favor, but it's something that we're not used to. Usually such decisions are viewed as multiple derating decisions. I wonder if the same happens this time around as well.
Neeraj, you know what? I'm looking at the absolute numbers, about 1 lakh crores, 80,000 crores. A company as big as Tata Steel has already set aside 17,000 crores. These companies have 12 years to pay these tax, just in case if the decision holds and it's not in favor of them. I don't think it's going to be a huge problem for them to be able to pay this back, because sure, on an absolute number, on an absolute basis, the 1 lakh crore number does look very large, but it's not just one or two odd companies. There are several, and the fact that they are actually they've given them about 12 years to for them to actually manage somehow to pay them back, and given the fact that majority of these companies are cash flow rich, cash flow positive, and have been for the past 5 or 6 years, maybe it just may not be a very big challenge. Of course, this does dampen sentiment overall for the sector.
Yeah, since the 12-year period is given, I think that is a positive for some of these companies, as Agam said. Maybe from a PLN basis to cough up that amount for a Tata Steel over 12 years, not that difficult, but it's an outflow, hit on the EPS, and therefore interesting to monitor what the eventual rating of the market would be. I'll tell you what, maybe we just take a quick break and come back with the management of MOIL and ask them what is it that they make of this development and the impact on them.